Good morning, Facebook, and I am here today with the lovely and wonderful Chelsea Krost. Now, for those of you who don't know, I've been following her career since 2008. I'm getting some feedback. Are you getting feedback?
No, not on my end.
Okay, let's try. How's that? Is that better? I think that's better on my end.
Oh,
so
now I'm hearing me. Yep. Okay. Maybe it'll go away. Yes, now it's gone.
Now it's gone. Awesome. I love technology and I hate technology.
So I think I say that at least once a day.
At least. So for those of you who don't know who Chelsea is, let me give you just a really quick rundown. First of all, it's Lisa Patrick here with Extra Credits. And Chelsea is rated one of the top 20 millennial marketing and brand experts. So she's got a lot to tell us about Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y, and a new cryptocurrency called Krost Coin. So we're going to get some serious stuff to talk about today. So I'm going to start off with asking you, when you were a little girl, what did you hope to grow up to be?
Oh, that's such a good question because it's still so top of mind, and I say in my next life or in my next chapter of life, I still want to be one of these things. But truly, growing up, if you asked me, Chelsea, what do you want to do? I would have told you veterinarian because I am just obsessed with animals and sometimes think that I'm the real life Dr. Dolittle, that, me and the animals can relate and understand each other. But also, I'm a total weather junkie. Growing up for most of my life in Florida, we had tons of hurricanes and flash floods, and as terrible as that was, it was also very exciting to me. I love tracking the weather, love being a part of like on the ground storm chaser kind of thing. So meteorology and veterinarian always been very big passions of mine. And, we never know.
You never know. Maybe there'll be a Dr. Dolittle 3 who's a weather forecaster, and you'll be Dr. Dolittle.
Right? I actually say that my career started in a Category 5 storm because I was an 8th grader in middle school, and in Delray Beach, Florida, we had a massive Category 5 hurricane, Hurricane Francis. And my dad told me to take the camera and get some before and after footage because there was clearly going to be a lot of damage.
Yep.
And that task that my dad told me turned into my first documentary. And the first documentary of, a teenager surviving the storm, we had so much damage. It was really startling. I ended up submitting my footage to the local CBS and Fox News, and they picked it up. So that entire process and experience is really what made me check off the box for TV production when I went into high school. And history is there. Within a year of high school, I started Teen Talk Live, my first radio show. So I say, my career blew in with a Category 5 wins.
And it's still blowing. And it's still
blowing.
And so you grew up in Florida, but now, from my understanding, you're between Florida and New York a fair bit with business. Your husband's business is in Florida. But you travel all over the world, and you've just returned from Asia. And you've done some exciting things over there. Let's talk a little bit about that.
I don't know if you can see the bags under my eyes, but
you have no bags, trust me.
They're definitely there. Asia, it was absolutely out of this world. I keep saying out of this world because that's truly what it was. It was an experience. When I think about my career, when I think about myself 11 years ago, when I thought about my 16-year-old self putting together the concept of Teen Talk Live and wanting to empower the next generation, I could have never imagined, flash forward 10 years later, where that journey would have taken me. And it just took me 10 days ago to Asia, where I was speaking and training 3 different workshops at the first ever digital boot camp for female entrepreneurship in Asia. So it was so rewarding and humbling and exciting and eye-opening to how hungry women are for information when it comes to entrepreneurship, marketing, PR, content creation, business, period, and how underserved we really are. And especially, we're having these conversations here in America and in Canada, but when you talk about globally, like in Africa and Asia and even Latin America, there's such an underserved market for women in entrepreneurship. So I was so quick to sign up upon, taking on this challenge. And my partners at Fem Boot Camp are Nisa and Bella. They're just out of control and incredible because they're really the pioneers behind the boot camp.
Yep.
And I signed on as the trainer from America. But hopefully in 2019, you'll see us again either in Singapore or Jakarta. We're talking about maybe Australia in 2020. So we're already forecasting how to take this bigger and better so that we're empowering more women across the globe.
Wow, that's amazing. So one of the things that we do here at Extra Credits is we help professionals who have certifications and license get their continuing education. And one of the markets that we've been looking at is actually Asia, and specifically in the financial market, because certified financial planners require continuing education, and Asia has a mandated requirement. And so providing them that type of education, not just as a business owner, but outside of the profession, is amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you. I always say that when the entrepreneurship conversation or business conversation comes up, I always say it needs to be hyphen finance. Because we can have the best idea when it comes to a startup company or a business, but if we don't know how to manage our own money, or we don't know how to raise capital, or we don't know how to sustain the capital that we already have, then how long or how successful will your business be alive, right? So it's a very big, passion for me is always that financial component in education and empowerment. And I think there's a little bit more coming up for that in 2019 too, for my entrepreneurship trainings, really bringing that financial aspect into the conversation.
Well, and I think too, lots of businesses, it's one thing to get it off the ground, especially when you're bootstrapping your own business, and an entrepreneurial life, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, is not easy. Plain and simple. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of time, and nothing comes easy. You look at the most successful, and they will tell you, Grant Cardone. I mean, I know you know Grant. We talk about his story all the time. I mean, he didn't come from riches and created more richness. He worked his ass off, just like everybody else does. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But you're right. The financial component to owning a business is really important, because you can build business and have really great business. But if you don't have a sustainability and you don't know your numbers, if you don't know how to bring it to that next level, it all boils down to financial. Or hiring somebody who has these.
There was a trainer in Asia who said something that was so powerful, and I think some of us forget it so much because, we talk a lot about passion equals profit, and you have to be passionate about your business, and you have to be your, blood, sweat, and tears, and I still agree with that. You have to be passionate about what you do every day, especially if you're the entrepreneur, because if you are the one driving it, right? You can't rely on anybody else. When you're the founder, you're the CEO. And you don't have that cushy corporate check coming in every month or bi-monthly to help keep you going. So if you're not generating the income, who is? And we went around the room talking about, what fuels you every day. And it was a lot of passion. And the trainer said, passion is great, but if you're not generating money, you don't have a business. You have a hobby. And so we need to really understand where passion meets profit and how to sustain that profitability so that we can become successful and continue to stay successful and scale. So I think it's, without the passion, I do believe that you're going to get burnt out. But we do need to have that financial piece to the whole pie, because ultimately that's what does make the business go around. Money coming in, money going out, money, right? So when I heard that, I was just like, that's such an obvious statement, but something that I think we look over quite often. Yep. It kind of was like hit me in the head as soon as she said that.
That light bulb moment. It's kind of like I always tell everybody, you can have the best toilet seat in the world and you can have 1,000 toilet seats sold, but if you don't have hundreds of thousands of toilet seats, you don't have a sustainable business. You have got to sell. And part of it is marketing, obviously, especially today, influence marketing, interruption, there's a lot of things that have to be done, especially online courses. And I know that you've got online courses, so you understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
It's a massive undertaking. But I'm so excited to hear that you're supporting women. And that you're moving into more of a venture capital component with your business. I know that. So let's talk a little bit more about that. What does it like, and how do people get involved with you?
Yes, well, it's so exciting because Lisa, actually, this is the first time here on Extra Credits podcast that I'm talking about CrossCoin. So wow. It is that new, it is that young, just weeks old, not even a month old. I got approached actually right before Asia. There was an article that came out in GrowWire where I was talking about, written by Jeff Barrett, where I was talking about how women are just so underserved in the VC market. And I mean, crazy big steps. Like in 2017, there was a total of $85 billion of VC capital. And out of that $85 billion total, only $1.9 billion went to women-led businesses.
Wow.
So clearly there's tons of money to be circulated throughout, business and entrepreneurship, yet women are just getting a fraction of the pie. And what's more frustrating than that is the statistics of how women-led businesses are scaling. So you have all these women-led businesses that are growing and profiting and blossoming, yet still getting underserved when it comes to support, VC support, and even networking opportunities. Because I think networking opportunities also opens the door to additional, networking is the key to opening door to more and more opportunity down the line.
100% agree.
Yeah, so I got approached by this specialist group in crypto that was very taken by the article and message within the article. And basically I said within my efforts in Chelsea Productions, similar to what I did in Asia, right? Packaging my expertise and knowledge and funding myself to go across the globe to support women-led businesses in training and networking. We need to do this more on a VC front where we're also doing the training, but also empowering with monetary, empowerment, financial empowerment. So that is really the crux of CrossCoin, which is a super newbie to market CrossCoin. And the mission behind CrossCoin is to truly, one, raise awareness about women in business, raise awareness about the lack of funding and networking opportunity within women in business, and then also to have this education component where we have more workshops and webinars and virtual summits and live events that we're empowering female entrepreneurs in, multiple stages of their business, from startup to, a year in, 2 years in, and all of a sudden at that scale moment, at that crossroads of, how do we take what's working and scale it from here? In addition to having contests and events where we were also empowering these businesses with financial support. So that's really the longer term goal with CrossCoin. Once more liquidity in the crypto market comes into play, of where we can actually be this VC vehicle with CrossCoin, but also to raise awareness and empower more women entrepreneurs. And people will be able to get involved very soon as we start to really understand the liquidity in the market and how to operate CrossCoin so that people can use it as an investment vehicle for them personally and professionally, and then also to support the movement of female entrepreneurship. So, it's at its infancy stage, but we've had great support so far. I think we're about at 18 cents with just in a few weeks. And you stay tuned because there is a lot to come in 2019 with the evolution of CrossCoin.
Well, I want to know when I can fill my e-wallet.
Oh, well, I will definitely send a link to stealthexchange.io. And on self-exchange, that's the beautiful thing about the crypto, space, all that level of transparency, understanding what the valuation is, transactions, how many tokens you're getting. It's actually a family-led operation with CrossCoin. So I'm the CEO of CrossCoin. My husband is the CFO of CrossCoin. So he is the one that's doing your average downs and sending you your tokens. And one of the big things for us with Chelsea Productions and CrossCoin is being very transparent about where your money is going, what your efforts are being raised for, and down the road, obviously, as we grow as a company with CrossCoin, of what we're doing with that investment to further empower our mission. So it's a family affair. My husband and I are doing a lot of the operations on the back end. My dad is a huge supporter as well. So it's really great in so many different ways, and it's just the beginning.
Well, I'm so glad to make the announcement to the world on the Credits All-Star Show. That's amazing. That's why you're an all-star, right there. Exactly.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that.
So one of the things, and you wouldn't be aware of this, but recently the Canadian government actually launched a entrepreneurial grant for women-led businesses, and the fund was $20 million. So up to $100,000 per woman-led business. So you had to apply. You had 12 days. They announced it, and within 12 days you had to apply. So I'm happy to see that Extra Credits, I have applied for Extra Credits to help support women-led. Obviously, I'm a woman-led business, but to support people in their education and opportunities.
Yes.
I'm getting feedback. Are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right. Then it just must be mine, which is good, which means the viewers are not getting echo. So that's the most important thing. So yeah, so congratulations, because I think as women, we forget, and we're so programmed at a young age to be competitive with each other, that we forget that the value of lifting each other up and supporting each other is so, it's just beyond words of why we need to be helping and supporting each other. It's not a competition. It is really, truly trying to be complementary and collaborative.
Yeah, I'm so happy you took a moment to say that, Lisa, because, it's very easy to be in competition with your peers. It's very easy to be in competition with your peer competitors. However, if we all just walked around being in competition with each other, what an injustice that would be to me, my business, my community, you, your business, you community, versus us coming together to bring our knowledge together to further serve our community and to further create a bigger ripple effect for positive. Exactly. And so a lot of people, what's the biggest questions? What's the key to your success, right? I would say of the biggest keys to my success is that I've never come from a competitive mindset. I've always come from a collaborative mindset, and over the past decade, I have collaborated with so many different entrepreneurs, startups, Fortune 500 companies that have always allowed me to learn, first and foremost, because if the business owner, if the entrepreneur, if we're not constantly learning and evolving, then how can our company, business, community constantly learn and evolve with us? And also just continuing to open the door to additional opportunities, additional networking opportunities, financial opportunities, business opportunities, life opportunities. So one is never come from a competitive standpoint, always a collaborative standpoint. And two, networking is so key, right? Because as soon as we're not networking, we're closing the door on so much potential.
Exactly. And I think people forget. I mean, if I was to give away all my money, if I had a choice, would I give away all my money or would I give away my network? I would give all my money away every day, all day long, because your network is your value. That's where everything is built from. And if you don't have a good network,
absolutely. I say your profit is as big as your network too, because your network is that word of mouth. It helps create the ripple effect of brand awareness, and you're only as big or only as powerful as the network behind you or the community or tribe that supports you.
Exactly. And in Extra Credits, I mean, our whole basis of what we do is based on team collaboration, and we work together. We're apart. There is no I, it is a we.
Yes.
That's so important. And I know that there's a big gap between Gen X and Gen Y, but the Gen Zers. Now, from my understanding, you tell me if I'm wrong, but everything new in the world when it comes to Gen Z is all about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Everything is built off of relationships. And it's interesting because technology today is great, but it's very valuable to have the feedback of, I take all calls, sales, whatever it happens to be, on Skype or Zoom or whatever it happens, because I believe in the value of being able to see each other in order to have and build relationships. But what's the big constraint or the hurdle right now for the millennials, the Gen X's, the Gen Y's when it comes to relationships? Is it technology?
Within the workplace today, we have 4 generations under one roof. You have baby boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, aka Gen Y, and Gen Zers. So Gen Zers are your interns in the workplace. Millennials are your entry level and starting to work up the ladder, of course, especially because the end of the millennial spectrum are, 35 plus, right? They're on the cusp of 40 now. So you have this difference in the workplace. And when it comes to communication, of course, within the different generations, you have different aspects of communication, differences in language, in the way that we're just used to communicating, right? So when it comes to millennials and Gen Zers, we grew up with social media, so not only are we so used to having unlimited access to people, we're so used to sharing with people, right? Everything down to, I bought my first home, or my lights just got shut off, or I'm having, a bagel and tuna fish for breakfast, whatever it might be. We were just so accustomed to sharing. So that mindset is also definitely bleeding into the workplace. So when millennials and Gen Zers don't have that line of communication with their boss or with the CEO, it's startling. It's something that we're not used to. What do you mean I can't voice my opinion? What do you mean I can't ask a question? Yeah. What do you mean I can't, have a relationship or dialogue with the leader, right? The manager. So this element of more fluid communication is something that I think millennials and Gen Zers are bringing into the workplace as the new mindset of employees are coming into the workplace. Now I always say there are boomers and Gen Xers that have a millennial mindset, and I call them millennials at heart. They're open to technology. They're open to change. They're not scared of trying things outside of the box. Yet, Lisa, we know that's not everybody's MO, right? When it comes to management and leadership. I think a lot of the people that, are the people that are still talking about millennials being lazy, entitled, and narcissistic. I think at this point, a decade later, right? I've been having this conversation for over a decade. That just means that you're scared of change, right? If you just can't accept the new mindset. So, also, the funny thing is that millennials and Gen Xers and baby boomers really aren't that different from each other. The way we just go about certain things I think are different. But when it boils down to our core, our values, our mantra, our wanting to do good in the workplace, right? It's more than just the bottom line. It's like, how are we making a greater impact in the world? That's really what drives millennials and Gen Zers every day. So if that's not something that you could tap into from a previous generation, then I'm sorry. Then I'm going to put it on you. You're just scared of change. You're just scared of evolving. And I think you're also getting scared of being left in the dust if you're not keeping up with the trends, keeping up with technology. So more than ever, there are panels and summits and conventions and books and trainings of how to bridge the gap in the workplace. And I think this conversation I've been having this conversation for 6+ years now, but I think as we move into 2019, I think Gen Zers are helping to break down those barriers, even more than millennials have been trying. Because in 2018, Gen Z created a voice for themselves with the March for Our Lives movement after the Parkland shooting. The Parkland shooting only happened 20 minutes away from where I live and grew up. So talk about close to home. I've always been proud to be a millennial, but I've never been more proud to be a millennial and also, a little bit of a leader for the next generation, because I think all that millennials have started to do and started to try to break down those walls and defeat those stereotypes, debunk those myths. Gen Z just came in hot this year of, look, we're not sitting around and letting our friends get shot up anymore. We're taking action. We're, government, politics, you have to hear us. This is only something to make our generation and planet and world safer. Not anything but that. So I think just the new mindset of, we're not going to sit around. We're going to do something about it. And we're going to use digital and social to create movements to help pioneer these efforts, whether it's March for Our Lives or bridging the gap in the workplace. We're doing it. And I think as we move into this new year, this conversation is also going to be less of a conversation and more of action. Yeah, right? Because we can talk about it all day long. We can talk about women need more equality in the workplace or sexual harassment. We can have these conversations all day long, but what is the action being done to create different results? And I think that's what millennials and Gen Zers are very aware of and trying to break down those barriers to create the action.
I think, talk is cheap.
Action
fix everything. I always say all the time, you can talk the talk, but you got to walk the talk. And so, I think in my generation, being older, it's been more of a learning curve for us to be able to understand, when I bake a pie, put it on social. When I, move the snow, because we've got so much snow in the last day and a half, it's all I've been doing is moving snow, is talk about moving the snow. Like, the things that we grew up with that just was never, I didn't have a cell phone when I was a kid. There was no such thing. Right. And I grew up as a little girl where you actually got up to the phone or to the TV and turned the dial because there was no remote controls. So you're right. And many of the people at my age are sitting in those C-suite positions and have had to retrain their brain and open up their mindset to something completely new. But it has been really a good thing. It hasn't been a bad thing.
Yes. And it's slow and steady wins the race. So I don't expect these things to happen or resolve overnight. Yeah. However, some of the conversations have been happening for multiple years now, right? Generation in the workplace, millennial consumer mindset. And it's just about time that people in the C-suite, people who are in the leadership positions are realizing that if they're not taking action, then they're going to lose top talent. Because the companies that are taking action is where the millennials and Gen Zers are going to flock to next.
Exactly. I just read it in here, and I just shot a video about it not too long ago, actually, that, the average person stays at work 4.4 years. That's not very long.
No.
So you better be stepping up your game and helping and training. Training is a big component. I don't care if you are in the C-suite, you're a Gen Z, you're a Gen Y, you're a Gen Z, you're a millennial, you're Gen B. I don't care who you are. If you're not learning and training, and you're not doing it fast, it's one thing to work hard. That's very important. But you've got to train and learn faster in your work, especially today.
Absolutely. And, just to that point, exactly, Lisa, in 2016, the year was ending and I was speaking at a major convention and I was speaking at Sage Summit, and I had spoken at Sage Summit for multiple years. And, every presentation on marketing to millennials in particular, there was always a line that wrapped around the stage after each presentation. So in 2016, when I was talking about influencer marketing in particular, think about influencer marketing now. It's like everybody knows the term influencer marketing. We're moving into 2019. Not too long ago was 2016, yet it was a completely, people just were so unaware of what it meant, even to the point of what is an influencer, let alone influencer marketing. Okay, valid. This is 2016. So I'm standing there and I see the line growing and growing and growing. Lisa, I kid you not, I shut down the convention. The lights went off. and I was still answering questions. They were starting to close the gates. I was like, all right, let's just move outside the gates, everybody.
I hope somebody brought you a cup of water at least, because that's
that would have been really nice. So in this moment of answering all these questions, having all these conversations, I realized how much knowledge was still not known. How much, even fundamentals, Lisa, right? Fundamentals, because sometimes the fundamentals are necessary before we start moving on to all of these marketing trends and terms, right? If the fundamentals of the baseline knowledge isn't there, we're going to keep adding and adding and adding. That house is going to fall over versus the mansion just getting bigger and bigger. So I realized how much of the baseline information still needed to be known and still needed to be taught. So at the time, 2016, I had been working, my clients were more of the Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies. Yep. And I said, you know what? I need to serve the entrepreneur, the startup business owner, the everyday, the you and the me that at one point we were in that phase in our company, and also empower those people to learn how to do influencer marketing and marketing to millennials as well. So long story short, I dedicated the first half of 2017 to creating my signature program, Millennial Marketing Formula. And Millennial Marketing Formula has become this big asset for corporations, companies, foundations, organizations to empower their employees from within, to help them up-level their know-how when it comes to marketing, millennial mindset, influencer marketing, digital content creation, social media marketing, and more, so that we can up-level our employees from within instead of firing and finding new, right? Let's empower our people, empower the employee, and empower the entrepreneur within every employee, right? The more they learn, the more they know, the better they're going to perform, the better they're going to feel.
Exactly. And not to be afraid to be able to level up and skill up your people, because you're going to run away to another place. That mindset is so long gone. And if that's the mindset that the company carries, then you're right. The sustainability model will not be there.
Exactly. And everybody wants to know about retention and productivity and loyalty. And it's like, okay, in order to get loyalty, retention, and increased productivity, we need to empower our employees. We need to keep them in the know on new trainings, new methods, new methodologies, new marketing tactics. Because if they're an employee, they're 9 to 5, it's a little hard for them to also find time to train outside, right? But if we're empowering our people with the trainings from within the workplace, wow, what an amazing ripple effect that can create for the team and for the profitability and productivity of the company itself.
Exactly. And it's so important, like nowadays, everything is so diluted. We have so much access to so much knowledge. It's ridiculous. But the problem that I see, and one of my missions, is to give the best knowledge to the right people so that they can actually learn. And that's really important, because if you don't have the right knowledge and the right trainings and the right program within your organization or for yourself, then how will you grow? You need to have that experience and that wisdom. And that's, there's lots of it out there, but how do you filter it? And so one of the missions at Extra Credits really is to filter that knowledge for people, so that when you come and you take training and you take opportunities there, that you've got the best of the best, so that you can get fast and you can grow and you can get to those sustainability models and those productivity models that you want faster. Yeah. And it's really important.
And to that point, it's because anybody could upload a YouTube video right now and call themselves an expert. Yes. There's a little bit of a scary place there, because are you learning from the wrong person? Are they teaching you totally a not right thing, right? So that you're wasting your time, and then you could be implementing that knowledge and it's just totally wrong. Exactly. So as amazing as YouTube is, like, all of us can get YouTube universities, like, very easily, right? However, we need to go to the sources like Extra Credits, like LinkedIn Learning Center, where these experts are being flushed through by these, publishing platforms like LinkedIn Learning, to make sure that the person creating the course has the validity knowledge and skill set to teach the course.
Yeah.
Because the last thing is we want is to waste our time learning from someone who has no idea what they're talking about. Right? No one's got time for that.
There is no time for that. We don't have time for that. We want to be learning fast, but we want to be learning the right knowledge. And part of the mission with Extra Credits, really, and my personal mission, is that with continuing education, you're forced to take training every year, whether you're a financial planner, you're a massage therapist, you're a funeral director, you're a coach, it doesn't matter. You're forced to take a certain amount of hours of training every year, bi-year or tri-year. And so why not take from the best? And that's really important so that you can advance your career and pursue happiness and spend more time with your family and your kids and do all these wonderful things. And, continuing education has historically been thought of as oh my God, I got to take continuing education because I am forced to do it. But what if the experience was fun and engaging and you got opportunity to learn from the best of the best? And but that whole market is missing right now. And so that's really our mandate. And hopefully you've got some online courses that we bring in as well in the financial market sector and what have you. And people can start to learn from you in a CE perspective. And so let's talk a little bit now. You're very successful, but this didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen because somebody dropped, $1 million on your desk and said, "Here you go. Now go to the world and become this influencer." It was hard work, dedication, and a lot of roller coasters.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize or know, even though I've talked about it many of times, of course, over the past decade, but I think a lot of people, because of my age, 27 years old, assume that I grew success through a YouTube, right? Like a YouTube sensation, or social media sensation, if you will. That's totally not the case. I really have such a traditional background that's moved into this digital medium. I started working in local AM radio. Doesn't get more traditional than that. And why did I start local AM radio in 2007 is because social media was in its infancy. It really didn't exist as an opportunity to create a platform like I wanted to in Teen Talk Live. So now my 16-year-old self would think YouTube channel, IGTV, Snapchat, but that just wasn't a resource or an option at the time. So I created Teen Talk Live when I was 16 years old. No advertising, no investment. My parents paid for the airtime until I started to grow a following to have some advertisers and native advertising. But actually, I worked for 3 years straight, producing, hosting, radio, and then making my way into television before I made $1.
So you're going to school though too at this time, right?
I'm going to school. So yes.
You're running this business. You've had great resources as far as support from your parents. It takes you 3 years to get to where?
3 years later, so I graduated high school upon, finishing starting Teen Talk Live. I was a junior in high school. Still did my ACTs, my SATs, all the stress it takes to apply to college throughout this time. And then in 2009, I graduated high school, put together my first mission trip on behalf of feminine hygiene care to Africa after being so inspired by one of my most important interviews in my career with the wonderful Christine Uwaizu. She was a Rwandan refugee. And she taught me not how lucky I was to have unlimited access to water and food and education and a family dynamic, but how lucky I was to have access to feminine hygiene care products. Wow. And I was just, exactly. That was I said, in radio, you never want dead air. I had a good 20 seconds of dead air because I was so taken aback by feminine hygiene products. And she taught me that women don't have access to, a feminine hygiene product. So that means that they miss so many days of school per month, per year. Yes. They get held back. They don't graduate. And without a diploma in Africa, it's very hard to get a job. Versus in America, we have a lot more opportunity to create our own opportunities. Yeah. Hopefully 10 years later, that's a bit different now in Africa. At the time, no diploma, no job. And unfortunately, many women have to be the provider for the family. Just men leave the family. You know, women have to be the providers.
Yep.
So when I learned about the ripple effect of a sanitary hygiene product that we walk Walgreens, CVS, you know, all these departments, there's an aisle dedicated to feminine hygiene, right?
Yeah.
Let alone finding one, there's an aisle full of it. So I was so mind blown that I knew I needed to do something immediately and got Kotex and Delta to be sponsors. We brought hundreds of thousands of sanitary hygiene products into the slums of Nairobi, Kenya, AIDS orphanages, children's orphanages, women's orphanages, refugee centers, also into the bush of the Masai Mara region. And when I started to unzip those bags full of sanitary hygiene products, you would have thought that I was handing out $100 bills, because these women knew what access to a month or a year's worth of sanitary hygiene products meant for their success, meant for their family, meant for their livelihood. So I brought along a CBS and Fox camera with me, documented this journey, and it aired on CBS and Fox when I got back in the summer of 2009. And this is when everything changed. When the documentary aired,
but
and
you
I got
weren't making any money at this time. Like,
no.
Understand that you did not make any money doing this. This was your mission.
My mission, my family and I, like very, very tight family, we went on this mission together, thanks to Kotex and Delta, and helped help with funding of the project. But no, got zero compensation. This was just totally something we were all very passionate about doing. Didn't get paid to put a documentary together. I just wanted to share this message. And I wanted teenagers to reevaluate how lucky we were at that time to be teenagers in America. And within 2-3 months of the documentary airing, I moved to New York for school, for college, and I got a call from Kotex to be their first ever millennial spokesperson for this new brand that was launching, this new product that was launching, You by Kotex. It's the only black box on the shelves. And truly, Lisa, this was the beginning of the business that I now have, because it was the crux, it was the infancy of influencer marketing. Kotex was tapping this everyday teenager who had a community, who had a following, to advocate on behalf of their brand and to help connect the dot between product and millennial consumer. What are these people like? How do they operate? Help us build a digital community toward the country, helping to empower fellow teenagers of body positive, body empowerment, what it means to have our menstrual cycle every month. And there was a year agreement that turned into 5 years working together.
Congratulations.
And it was talk about experience is everything. I said that was my master's in influencer marketing.
Absolutely.
And then being able to evolve my company to provide those services for future companies on top of the many other services that we've added over the past decade. But so many people don't know that my traditional, my traditional start really had no funding, no money. And I just evolved out of passion, right? I was so passionate about doing this. And I never let no stop me, because I got a lot of no's. So I just say no's are just a reroute to the yes.
I always say that too. I say a no is never a no, it's just a not yet. And
exactly.
Perseverance will always turn a no into a yes. Guaranteed every time.
Yep. Passion and persistence are key. And Kelly Ripa told me that in the beginning of Teen Talk Live. I got invited to see her back, when it was live with Kelly and Regis. I got asked to come back because she had heard about Teen Talk Live through a family friend. And I said, I'm a year in, and she asked me what my goal was. And I said, I want your job, and she just said, passion and persistence are key. And 10 years later, I keep saying that because it's so true. If you don't have the passion and you don't have the fire to keep going, good luck.
Absolutely. I think people need to realize that, it was hundreds of thousands of hours of hard work to get where you were, to get in front of Kelly Ripa. Kelly Ripa just didn't drop on your door one You worked at it to get there. And people really need to understand that it doesn't just automatically happen and the floodgates open. You've got to work at it, and you've got to build that network. It's back to the network again, people.
Yes.
Anybody who's watching this, every single day you have to commit to make at least one connection. At least one connection a day. LinkedIn is a great place to do that. You and I both know, the value of LinkedIn and how to actually create genuine relationships. And please, when you are creating those or trying to make those connections, so many people don't realize that the automatic on LinkedIn, I mean, you talk about LinkedIn all the time, the LinkedIn automatic request, don't send it.
Right.
Please don't do that.
And I also say, as much as online relationships are great, you have to make those offline connections too, because that's really like where it takes it to the next level and moving the ball forward with a collaboration or a new opportunity. But let me tell you, Lisa, since I opened up my coaching division to provide more services one-on-one, I purposely take discovery calls, and so many people are blown away by the amount of discovery calls I personally take, because I like to learn the needs and pain points of where all these startup entrepreneurs are currently, right? And the more we know about our target audience, the better we can create our service offerings and package our services to better serve our community, better serve our audience, better serve our client. And one of the constant things that I wish I didn't hear is how they have a fraction of an idea, right, for a business. So, well, I think I kind of want to do this, but they're immediately 100 steps ahead and are so I want to make sure it's a money-making concept right away. And I want this, and this yesterday. I want to do keynote speaking and land PR and have, digital ambassador brands reaching out to me. And I'm like, okay, so let's talk about where you are currently to be driving that demand for that to happen. And I think because of YouTube, because of the entrepreneurs we really glamorize, like the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, we have this distortion of reality when it comes to entrepreneurship and business, is that there is no such thing as a quick fix. There is no thing as a get rich quick scheme. It's really, I always say you have to lay down the pavement so that you could start building the house stair by stair, floor by floor, and the next thing you know, 10 years later, a castle is there, let alone a house.
I'm giggling because when I talk to all my speaker clients and my influencers and I talk about their business like a hotel. And I always say to them exactly what you're saying, Chelsea. I'm giggling inside because I say, you know what? It's great that you have this hotel and the penthouse is where you are and you're doing speaking engagements at like Grant Cardone, $125,000 a hit. But if you do not have that basement foundation where your systems and your processes and everything are in play, I don't care. Nobody will get to the penthouse through the elevator, and they will not reach any of your other levels of your business, which is your workshops and your online courses and everything else, if you do not have a foundation and a solid foundation. And that's based on systems and processes. And
yes, absolutely.
If you don't have that, so like you said, you have the greatest idea in the world, but you better have a foundation.
Absolutely. And I would say even before the system and processes, just because of a lot of the entrepreneurs that I do work with in my VIP coaching, is you have to have a concept together, right? Like who do you want to be? Who do you want to serve? And what is your area of expertise, right? Get that locked down. Then you have a clear understanding of the target audience that needs your skill set, that needs what you have to share. I think a lot of people move way past that phase way too soon. So they're constantly thinking, oh, I need to do this and this and this and this. But is that what your target audience is demanding? Or is that what you think you need to do?
Or do you even have an audience for it? That's another big one. Online courses, I see it all the time. Oh my God, I built an online course. I spent $100,000, video production, everything. And I hear, Yeah.
Cricket. Right.
Yeah, because you don't know who your audience is. That's the great thing about when you start to think about an idea and you want to build an online course, find your audience first. Continuing education is a perfect portal for that because people have to take continuing education. And so once you get that approval, then once you have an audience, then serve them with your product. It's not build it and then they will come.
Right.
That's not how that works.
I even say, and a lot of people could, totally disagree with me, but that's okay. I even say come up with a concept of a course or a training program and get the feelers out, right? First 10 people to sign up get 50% off. How fast did those 10 people sign up? Create the demand and then go worry about creating the curriculum.
And build it.
Exactly.
I don't know if you know who Courtney Foster Donahue is. She's on Facebook. She does exactly that. She builds a demand, lets people know this is the next course that's coming up. She hasn't built it yet. She probably hasn't even thought about the majority of the content itself. She's got the outline. Yes. Then once people opens the doors and then she sells the course, she's got the course created. Get the demand.
Absolutely. And you can have the demand, but then there's nothing like learning in real time. So I say if you're new to this course market, can you launch a live group training so that you're held accountable live? You could finesse your skill set live, but also be live in that real-time feedback of what's working, what's not working. Do you need more of that? Do you need less of this? To then get all this feedback, all these testimonials to help sell your do-it-yourself course, right? You've already tried and true and tested and you have some testimonials to give it validity. So it's like, don't put the cart before the horse, right?
Exactly.
How can you build a foundation, not just for your brand and your business, but for also the service offerings you roll out as your business grows down the line?
Absolutely. So you have 2 courses right now and you've just launched a 3rd course, correct?
Yes. So I have, my own signature training, Millennial Marketing Formula, which is for every entrepreneur and their mother, really, and their daughter. I would say every entrepreneur and their mother and their daughter. This course in particular is one for the entrepreneur that also wants to empower their team, to up-level their team. So lots of startup companies, but also Fortune 500 companies are, this is Millennial Marketing Formula. I also have a live keynote that comes along with that. If there's a live training opportunity on LinkedIn, in particular, you will find my Marketing to Millennials course, kind of like a more condensed version of Millennial Marketing Formula, as well as just last week, my course on personal branding launched. So those are all live and available. If you have LinkedIn Premium, it's available. And then Valentine's Day, actually, my influencer marketing course on LinkedIn will launch. So lots of great content out there for everyone who wants to take full advantage of it.
Absolutely. Good. All right. Well, we're actually gone over our 45 minutes. And that's how it goes sometimes. But thank you very much for joining me today and helping our viewers understand a little bit more about the differences between Millennial and Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. And more importantly, an opportunity to meet you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, and I see a collaboration in store for us coming up.
I do too. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.